All right, so I removed the bumper bracket, which was not as easy as I was anticipating because I couldn't really see a couple of the spot, or a number of the spot welds where they spot welded it to the tail panel. So there was actually 4 little tiny ones in the corners. Some of them were overlapping the opening. So that part, you know, it came out okay, I mean, overall, but it just took a while to grind away quite a bit of stuff. But anyway, I mean, I'm changing all this anyway, so it's kind of irrelevant. But what I've discovered was the ones I bought are just not remotely going to fit in that opening. There's multiple things wrong. So one is these ears here go too far forward, and there's no relief. If it was stepped, it would fit, but there's this little lip right here on this flange that you can't clear. So I had to cut it back away from that edge. So if you look at it, you can see, I mean, I had to chop off, I'm discolored there, but you had to chop off quite a bit off the back end there, or the front end there. And then I had to cut up and relieve it to give a little bit of a raise to it, because this one comes in completely flat on the bottom. So I didn't quite see how that was worked on this. It looks like they did, I guess they did raise it up in the front right there a little bit now that I say that out loud. Yeah, so it was actually relieved previously. It's a longer flange, but it has a kind of, I guess, a double joggle. So anyway, this thing won't fit in there at all. So I had to cut quite a bit there, had to trim that off, and I had to thin those down, which they look a little funky. I'm gonna straighten them out a little bit, you know, clean them up a little more, get them a little more parallel, but just to get them to go into place. But I even had to take the overall body and squeeze it some more and lay it down on a table and beat on the back of it here to get the ears to become planar. So it's in there, or it'll fit, but what I don't like is, well, among all the other things, is that the holes are not exactly, they're not at the right elevation. So I'm not certain, I mean, because I had to thin them, I don't have as much room to pocket them out, or to you know, wallow them out a little bit, and I just don't know the fastener size going through there. I'm anticipating it probably won't even fit through the slot in the first place, but I'm under the impression I need the full slot size in there, so that's inherently problematic at this point. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with that yet. I gotta think about that and see. Maybe I can find another set of these that's, you know, cut better, or some sort of original stampings or something that would actually fit. So I wanted to do this while I was removing these brackets, so I didn't take this one off yet over here, just because I figured it'd give me a better example, have it still sitting in its actual position. So I figured I'll do that first, just to get these 2 brackets built and ready. That way when I go to put everything back in, I can actually put it in place and I'm not struggling with it, trying to figure out why stuff won't line up and thinking something else is wrong. So it's clearly that the brackets are just poorly made. I mean, the design is just not really right. I mean, even look at the relief slot in it, at the position of that, and then the position of this one. You know, this is further forward, but then you add in the fact you got to trim away here, and you get this edge gets real thin. So it's sorry for all the noise, but yeah, you get kind of thin in here. You got a 1/4 inch or something in there now, instead of, you know, 5/8, or in this case 3/4 something inches. So I don't know what that's going to do for you. It's going to obviously allow it to twist a little more. So not real thrilled there. I mean, that cutout doesn't really matter, I don't think, for the most part. I don't think it does anything. Maybe it beefs it up a little bit because it is kind of a flare, but I don't know that the whole location matters, except for I'd prefer it to be more in the middle. So anyway, that's kind of my story on that. I've been working on this for the past hour, just trying to get it trimmed to the right shape, but yeah, it's challenging. And then the other thing I noticed too is when you put this on, you put it up in position, the tail doesn't even touch the ground. So that would have to be bent down as well. Sorry for shaking the camera there, but yeah, it's got an air gap under it, which is, you know, more than I would prefer, and it should really be touching the ground. I mean, yeah, you can always build up anything with a weld, but I just don't think it should be like that. I think it should be touching and then welded in place. So maybe asking for too much, but that's kind of my thought. So anyway, that's just where it is.